Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Marcus Aurelius, and this is Dominions 4 Thrones of Ascension Mod Map Showcase. Now, the map that I want to showcase today is Bolingard by HottiePippin. Now, this is a pretty beautiful map upon first glance, but it also, as I've been playing on it, has a lot of really cool choke points, and it totally takes advantage of the new mechanic in Dominions 4 where some passages can be crossed during the summer and some can be crossed during the winter, like rivers for example, or mountain passes. So it's a fun map to play on. Now, when this map was first released, I actually wrote a comment on the Desura forums to the author saying, you know, I think there may be a bit too many water provinces in this map, and I still believe so, but for this nation that I'm going to be profiling, this map is perfect, and quite possibly the best map out there for this nation, because this nation relies on underwater troops and sailing. And that nation, of course, is Sawaiiki, the Eternal Sea, a middle-aged nation by Amuys. And this nation is very complex. In fact, if you'll look up here, it took me 7 in-game years to get to this point so that I could showcase the nation properly and show you all the summoned creatures and whatnot. You definitely want a bless strategy with this nation, and I did not take one because I needed magic diversity in order to get all the different summons. You will not be able to uncover everything this nation has to offer in just one playthrough. However, I do enjoy the fact that it is really a high concept mod that differs drastically from anything else in Dominions. You might think, well, it's similar to Mictlan in the sense that Mictlan is a low armored blessed nation with a lot of sacred warriors, but it's different, and let me show you how. So first off, you start off with 2 sites: the Green Cliff, which gives you 100 supply, 50 resources, 2 air, and 1 nature, and enables recruitment of your Iliahi Lord and Koa Warrior, and the Soul's Leap, which is 1 death and enables the recruitment of the Child of Nanawe. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, but I'm doing the best I can, folks. I am not Polynesian. So, as you'll see here, it looks as if this nation does not have a lot in the unit department, but let's go over what they do have. There's your basic Ali'i Kaukau, I guess, which is a level 1 priest and a 40 leadership leader. As you can see, they all have these shark teeth swords, which are pretty decent, but their armor is very bottom of the basement. They have a good defense skill of 15, but their protection of 6 is very low. They do apparently have higher than average hit points though for humans, which is good. The next is a 2 holy commander with 80 leadership, so basically the same as the previous gentleman, only with a spear now and a bit more holy and leadership. Same number of hit points, same low protection. Now we have our first non-sacred commander, and this is going to be your go-to research mage in that he is the only research mage with an adept researcher tag. He has a chance, he has 1 death, 1 water, and a chance of water, death, and nature. One thing you'll notice with this nation is they do not have very much magical strength. In most cases you have 1 in each path, and with the possible chance of getting 2, and that's about where you stop. In this case, 2 death or 2 water for these guys, and maybe 1 death, 1 water, 1 nature. Now, by comparison, if you were to watch my Let's Play, you will know that our weakest mage, the Salme, that I used for researching, had 3 paths out the box as well. Next, we have their Kahuna Healer. This guy is a level 1 priest, just like the main commander, and he has a chance, a 33% chance, but in practice I found this to be much lower, of getting 1 blood. And so this could be used as a blood nation, though I will not recommend it, and I'll explain to you why soon. But what they have here is Disease Healer too, which is awesome, because curing diseases is a very good thing. And this nation has few advantages, of which disease healing is one of them. Next we have the Priest of the Four, which based on the mythology of this nation makes a lot of sense. It's a representation of the 4 gods that this people worships. Now, you won't be using this gentleman for research as he is very bad at it, but he does have access to air magic and water magic and holy magic with a chance of another air or water. This is important because one of the main spells of this nation is a sight-searching spell which requires 2 air. And this spell searches a province for blood, death, and air magic. So it's kind of a versatile multi-search spell that you're going to be using quite a bit of, and these gentlemen, the Priests of the Four, are the ones that are going to be casting it. Then you have your typical scout with 40 stealthy. Nothing very special about them, except they have a net, which is a fun thing, but you're not going to be massing these guys enough for it to affect the outcome of battles. And finally, the head guy, the Ilahi or Eliahi Lord. Now, he is the symbol of the versatility of this nation. He can go underwater, or he can sail. That's why on a map like Bolingard, these guys have a really good shot, because there's water everywhere. There is yet to be a map created for Dominions that I think would really take advantage of this nation, which is probably a map that involves mostly water with islands. This is an island-hopping nation, and it is too bad that it just, in that sense, it doesn't fit into the other nations, because if maps were created of that kind, this nation would surely dominate. Not too powerful with magic, though. Again, 1 air, 1 water, so his magic is really worthless in the sense that other mages of this nation have the same exact magic. But again, the awe, the amphibiousness, and the sailing and the stealthiness make up for it. Another cool thing is the Lua ability, which is a 13 armor negating stun damage, and 13 because strength 12 plus the 1 actual damage, which is really cool in addition to his spear. With regards to the units, we have the regular Alii, which is just a sacred swordsman, basically with a shark-toothed sword, a club, and a javelin. Again, the protection is down at the bottom of the barrel, so you're gonna really want a water 9 bless with these guys probably, and some nature perhaps as well. Although I found they don't hit very hard either, so fire bless is not out of the question. Then you have the Alii spearmen, who are not sacred. They're, I think, the only, well, they're one of 2 troops that are not sacred. But they do have formation fighter, and they function like hoplites. They have a long spear of length 5, so you can line them up and use them as your front line, and that's how I use them. Then you have the Alii slinger, same as a swordsman, has a shark-tooth sword, is sacred, but no armor whatsoever except for a helmet, and they have an obsidian sling. What's interesting to note is its magical damage. And then finally, we have the Koa warrior, which is sacred, has awe, so if you mass these guys, they're going to be very hard to hit. It has dark vision, half dark vision anyway, and the Lua attack that the commander man had. And finally, my favorite unit of this entire nation is the child of Nanaue, or Nanue. Again, I am not pronouncing any of this correct, but this unit, on first glance, doesn't look very interesting. But however, you'll notice she is a poor amphibian, and she has animal awe, which I've found historically, unless you're fighting against a nature nation, not even an animal nation like Pangaea, since they're not technically animals, they're like animal people, and she's stealthy. But you look at her and she's like, war paddle, low protection, how is this the elite nation, or the elite unit of this nation? Well, because, my friends, she changes shape underwater. If you take this unit underwater, she becomes this, a shark with tattoos, and it is a devastating underwater melee fighter with 2 bite attacks of 24 damage, and I have mowed through underwater province defense with these things without even looking back. Unless you're up against a tough underwater nation like Atlantis or Oceania, these things will dominate the seas for you. And look at the sprite. I mean, they are just beautiful. I mean, very well done. Very, very well done. And I'm sure if I even understood the culture that these are based on, that these tattoos probably even have meaning that I can't even fathom. But they are very cool units. And these guys don't change shape, but they do go underwater. And then, once you leave the capital, you are given the option to recruit some other new units. There is the Priestess of Ruin, who has 1 fire, 1 earth, 1 holy, with the chance of earth and fire. So that opens you up now to fire and earth magic, which you don't get in your capitals. She's a poor researcher, though, and you wouldn't want to use her for that. She seems designed, though, for one specific purpose, which is one of the national spells that I will go over with you soon. Then there is this little fellow right here, the Menehune Builder. which is hilarious because he's so tiny and he's not capital recruitment, but he is probably the most powerful mage this nation has. With 2 earth and 2 nature, he's comparable to a gnome in the standard game. Poison resistant, forest survival, he has a supply bonus of course, he has a castle defense bonus, and a resource bonus. You're going to want to mass these guys if you can afford it, because I generally find it's a good idea to take sloth with this nation to get you some points for your bless, and this guy will go a long way towards alleviating the problem there. Not really great on the battlefield, though he does throw a boulder, but in terms of magic, he is good to go. Then as far as troops, out of all the sprites of this nation, these 2 right here are the most uninspired. There's the Maka'aina Militia and the Maka'aina Archers. They don't really have much in the way of shading, and they look like they are kind of just thrown together after all these other amazingly awesome and detailed sprites were put together. Not sure about that. I didn't recruit any. They're just chaff units. But then you have this fellow, the Alohe Bandit. He is a cool looking guy, which is like a 3-armed or 4-armed dog person. And he is a demon. He gives Berserk +3. He is a pillager, and he causes unrest. Low protection, but low cost. You can mass these guys quickly, and as long as you keep them on the front lines, you don't have to worry about them hurting your income provinces. So those are the recruitable troops for this nation. I did not check to see if there were special undersea recruitment, and it doesn't look like there is. Although, okay, sorry, wrong province. I was like, wait a minute, how can you recruit that? Yeah, no special undersea recruitment that I can see. But let's talk a little bit about the national summons, and there are some cool ones, and I'm just going to go one path at a time and go over them. Starting with Conjuration, you have, okay, I mentioned this is the 2-air Kuhi Kuhi Puone Rites, which is your site searching spell and your go-to. It targets any province within 2 provinces, but it can't go through seas, for, as I said, air, death, and blood. Then you have the Consort of Lava, 2 fire and 1 earth, so that's what those priestesses are built to summon. Lost Ones, 3 astral, which nobody in your entire nation can summon, so if you want these guys, you're probably going to have to build it onto your pretender. Which I did, but I don't know, if you're going blessed, you may not even care. Then there's the Consort of Nature. Now I have and the Night Marchers, I'm sorry. Now I've summoned all of these. Then there's these 2, the Celebration of Peace and the Celebration of War. I didn't even attempt to summon these. They require either a heavy air bless or a heavy water bless, because otherwise you're not going to get any units in your nation that have anywhere near the skill necessary to cast them. I bet you if you go and look at the link below to the actual card that shows all the units of this nation, you will see the cool stuff that these spells summon. But this one, and they're ridiculously expensive too, 200 air gems. I mean, whoa. But they summon a commander called an Aumakua, and it has an extra effect called White and Sky, which unfortunately I don't know what it does, but I'm sure this spell is awesome. And then there is the Celebration of War, which summons the Kapu spirit and has the extra effect of Moon and Deep. So Amuys, when he put this nation together, he really understands the mythology of this culture in a way that I'm not doing it justice because I don't. But if you read his flavor text, it is very obvious that he knows what he's doing, and this is such a unique nation, and it's so different from everything else that came before it that I think it's definitely deserves its place in the pantheon of... Actually, pantheon is a great term when we're referring to dominions, but the pantheon of dominions nations. So okay, let's look at these guys. We have Night Marchers, Consort of Nature, Lost Ones, and Consort of Lava. Okay. So, here is... Well, no, that's a different one. This is a Mo-O. He is a summon from a different path. He is 2 water, 3 nature, although you need 3 nature to summon him. So unless you're already built for it, your odds of getting this guy are pretty low. I guess you could create the little builder guy and give him a thistle mace, and he should be able to handle this. But I just like the look of this. It's this cool little tattooed lizard man, and he is a decent researcher, actually. But he is susceptible to lightning and fire, resistant to cold and poison, has a lot of survivability, supply bonus, and he has a forge bonus. So this guy could be used as your forger if you would like. Here is the Lost Ones. Remember the one that costs 3 astral? This unit is a very finesse unit, and I unfortunately was not able to use it to its potential. Perhaps there's a good player out there who can do so, but I lost this guy, which you would not expect, to militia. I mean, he just got nailed. Everybody who hit him for like 20 damage, and boom, he was done. And you wouldn't expect that. I mean, his stats are pretty normal, and he has life draining and stealing strength, but whatever. But anyways, he has teleport, which means, let me zoom out here. No, zoom out. He can pretty much go anywhere. You want to go here? Well, come on. Okay, it's not... Oh, I see, because he has troops. Whoops. Oh, wait, no. Sorry about that, guys. I was just trying to clear the field here to make room for else. So if he wants to go here, oh, look, you can. Wonderful. You want to go here? Sure, why not? You know, and this is a cool unit. It represents the spirits of those who were trying to find new islands and never returned, which is kind of neat. But the teleport is really fun. But again, he's just not strong. I wasn't able to... I'm sure there's some way with some bless, with some manner of using this guy that you can use him to his fullest. I just wasn't able to do it. Then there was... Well, you know what? I've decided I'm going to abandon the process of just going by one path of magic at a time. I'm just going to show you the units. You can figure out how to get them. But there is the Alohe Kaupe, who is a blood summon, actually. I think he requires 3 blood to cast, and he's simply a little demon guy with 8 research, 1 blood. He does have a shape changer form. Don't know what, though. I haven't seen it in action. And he is population killer, and he is a natural good blood searcher. In fact, he's an amazing blood searcher. If I see this correctly, it means 6. That means he has the blood search ability of someone who is blood level 6, which is pretty awesome, and he has the Lua attack. So if you're going to jump into blood, I guess this is your fellow right here. Though you need someone who has 3 blood first to get him, which took me forever because I had to empower a blood priest here, as you could see. This is one of the heroes of the nation, Jayanberth, the deified explorer, who is probably your strongest air mage and your strongest priest. He's a throne claimer if you're lucky enough to get him. In fact, I recommend with this nation taking turmoil and luck, so your odds of getting the hero are pretty good, and he has sailing. So definitely, I wouldn't use him as a thug, but I would use him as a great commander and a great air mage and a throne claimer, certainly. Moving along. Oh yes, and here is, you have 2 pretender choices that are unique to this nation. I chose this one since it had more magic diversity, and I needed that in order to summon all these things. But there's also the Spirit of Ruin, which, like the Priestess of Ruin, has fire and earth magic. So if you want to go with a fire-earth bless, that would be your girl. But in this case, I chose the Sawaiiki, Sawaiiki, sorry, that's what I named him, the Hayao of the Uncreated, which are these 4 little statue fellows. And they come natural with air, water, astral, and death. I added the nature myself. An immobile, it says move 2, but that is a misnomer. They don't go anywhere. And they are an innate spellcaster. Just your typical immobile pretender with the right paths for some good blesses and magic diversity. And that's all for here. But then going over to here, we have the Consort of Nature, who I showed you. Takes, I think, 2 nature to summon, and he has 2 nature. A good researcher, a good nature mage if you want one. Otherwise, not really necessarily overpowering. But as a commander, you know, he has decent leadership. And okay, so that's all I think for the summonable commanders, at least the ones that I got. Yes, that's the case. So now let's go to the units. There is this fellow, the Aumakua, who is a interesting character, and you may want to summon large quantities of these guys because they produce gold. They make 2 gold, and their upkeep is 8 gold a year. Now, I don't know if this means they produce 2 gold a year or 2 gold a turn. If they produce 2 gold a turn, then these guys are net gold makers. And so one strategy would be to take turmoil like I did and just mass these guys so you're making gold from them and not necessarily from your scales. He is, however, homesick, so wherever you do produce this guy, you're going to have to leave him there. But he does also have a resource bonus like the little builder guys. So again, it appears the purpose of this nation is to take really crappy scales and really great bless, and then let these units kind of make up for that by providing you gold and production. He does never heal, like a inanimate creature. He is mindless, but he is an amphibian, so he can go along with your shark ladies if you'd like him to. Very cool looking little lizard dude. And then we have these guys, the Night Marchers, and they're basically like your general swordsman guys, except they're ethereal undead, and they also kill population, unfortunately, but they have a life drain attack, and you get quite a few of them with the casting, so they are definitely worth the price of admission. Then we have this fellow, who is the Consort of Lava, and if you take the Spirit of Ruin, you can probably summon them right out of the gate, or otherwise you need to get Priestesses of Ruins until you find one with a 2-fire random. And they're basically just a high hit point, pretty strong fire unit with a heat aura and a lava spear which has magical damage. Their attack skill is a little low. You know, I would like that to be a little higher. And they're not sacred, so they don't benefit from a bless, but they have good morale, and unlike all the other units of this nation, they have really good protection. So they definitely have their place. Certainly good heavy infantry if you need it. And the Consort of Nature auto-summons boars, which is kind of cool. And yeah, so I think I have now gone over all of the different units. That was the Consort of Lava we've seen, the Lost Ones we've seen, the Consort of Nature we've seen, that's the Tusk Boar guy who summons boars, and the Night Marchers we've seen. Okay, excellent. Alteration. There is the Summon Moo, which remember is that the green lizard dude. We saw him that has water and nature. Actually, it looks like it does cost 3 water as well to summon him, so you don't get anything from him that you don't already have in order to summon him. I don't believe there is anything in Evocation. There's not. Construction, you have the Aumakua. I believe this is the dude who generates gold and production. Yeah, the Guardian Spirit of the Family's Land. So you get him right early in the level 2 construction, which you're going to want anyway. Enchantment, we have nothing, okay. And Thaumaturgy, we have, okay, this is an attack spell, Retribution of the Kapu, and I did not cast it, so I'm not entirely sure what it does, but it seems like a remote assassination spell, perhaps, or maybe, yeah, it's like I think it reminds me of that spell where you send the spirits of the creatures that the commander killed against him in battle, in like a dream battle. It's kind of similar to that. The mana of the land will manifest itself as a vengeful force and punish one of the enemy leaders for their transgressions. So it seems like just this nation's thematic version of that spell. And you have the Ana Ana Prayer, which is a 999 damage, 100 precision, range 25 attack, armor negating. So unless your enemy has high magic resistance, they gon' die. Their soul gets ripped from their body, which sounds a lot less pleasant, I'm sure, than it is. Or, no, which sounds just as unpleasant as it is, I'm sure. And I didn't get to that, though. And then, that was Thaumaturgy, right? Yeah, and then Blood Magic, of course, you have the Olohe Kaupe, who I showed you, the little guy who's excellent at blood searching. And then you have the Hu Pio Pio Curse, which is a range 35, high area effect, 1 damage armor negating spell that wears out your guy. 99 fatigue, so I didn't get to try this on the battlefield, but apparently it's just a long range, major fear effect, blood attack on the battlefield. So, in summary, this nation is very diverse, and you have to be somewhat skilled, I think, to play them well. Certainly more skilled than I am. I mean, it took me 7 years just to do this, and already Bandar Log, who's my enemy, is taking over the whole world. I doubt I'd be able to lead this nation to victory with my own meager set of skills, but if I, instead of trying to create a pretender that would allow me to summon all these cool, unique national summons, and instead focused on a heavy bless, I'm sure I could have done a lot better. And I'm sure that you, if you were to try this nation, will as well. I definitely recommend Turmoil and Luck, as I said. I think Magic is probably a good idea too, since none of your mages are particularly strong, and research is going to be key for you. You're going to want to have a magical advantage. Growth, I did, because I thought, well, there might be a blood hunting nation, but it counteracts, I suppose, the fact that some of your summon troops kill population, so you might want to consider Growth. I did Heat because it seemed thematic for a Polynesian nation. Sloth because none of their units really required any productive capacity, So I got free points from that, basically. Now, Turmoil and Luck is a nice combination because you get a lot of good events like gems and free money. So I felt like that was a pretty good deal. And that is Sawaiiki. And I recommend you check it out. And this map, as before, is Bolingard. And I recommend you check it out as well. All right. Have a good one.